I, 19F, am afraid my girlfriend, 19F, is self-sabotaging our relationship. Do you think this has a solution? Hello, this is my first time posting something here, but I really need an outside perspective on this situation. My girlfriend and I have been dating for about 6 months now, and we have known each other since 2022. We were very close friends before we began dating, and our relationship has been the best one we have both experienced thus far. It is the first time I truly feel that someone loves and respects me in the way I have desired for so long, and I know she feels the same way about me. We love each other deeply and believe we are each other's ideal match. We communicate often, and every day we strive to understand each other more fully and respect our boundaries. Everything has been healthy and comfortable for both of us. No complaints. The issue is that about 4 days ago, we had a challenging conversation regarding our future together. I have set a goal to move out of my parents' house this year, and I asked her if she would be interested in moving in with me. Naturally, it might be too soon to consider such things, but I wanted to know if I should wait for her or include her in my plans. She informed me that she was not prepared for that and could not envision herself moving out of her house this year, which is perfectly fine with me. However, the conversation continued, and we began discussing how she should take action regarding her life. For several years now, she has been dealing with depression and frequent mood swings. She is unstable, her emotions shift rapidly, and she struggles to maintain consistency. In fact, many of her past relationships ended because she could not feel the same way for them for extended periods of time. It is as if her emotions change instantly when something triggers her, making her feel the need to distance herself from the person who caused her discomfort, which I understand, as I have experienced similar situations. However, I believe I manage it better because I recognize that those feelings are temporary, so I do not act impulsively. Unfortunately, she experienced a trigger with me for the first time in 6 months because of our conversation. I suggested that she should work, study, or take courses since she spends all day in front of a computer wallowing in her self-pity, and no one can improve their situation living like that. I mentioned that if she is tired of feeling useless, which is a concern she often expresses, then she should take action to change that. I understand how challenging it can be. I am not implying it is easy, but I want her to at least make an effort. She is not alone in this. I am here for her and offer my full support. I communicated all of this to her, and she received it well. However, the day after, I started to feel that she was being distant with me, so I inquired about it. She assured me she was neither angry nor upset, but felt triggered by my words. She mentioned that she felt rushed, and thought it implied that I would be happier with someone else who could keep up with me, in the manner I desire, which seems irrational. I cannot comprehend why she would think that, considering she knows how much I love her and want to be with her for the rest of my life. Over the next 3 days, I attempted to discuss this with her, but it feels futile. We may converse, but she does not seem interested in resolving anything. I expressed that I felt sad, pushed away, and concerned she might abandon me, a fear I have struggled with throughout my life, and her response was, "I am sorry. I feel bad for making you feel upset," which does not change anything or provide any comfort. She is usually very receptive and warm, so these types of responses make me uneasy. Yesterday, I reached a breaking point, feeling frustrated by not understanding what is truly going on with her, as she has never acted this way before. She remarked that, "Nothing lasts forever, so we will eventually break up," something she has never suggested before, and I become anxious whenever our relationship appears threatened. I need reassurance that everything will be okay, but she is not providing it. I told her that if she is feeling sad or angry about something, and that is the root of this issue, we should discuss it, which we did. But she revealed even more distressing information. She confessed that she has never felt sexually attracted to me, and that during our intimate moments, she did not experience the feelings she is supposed to have. She expressed that she does not feel aroused by the idea of sex in general and thinks she may be asexual. We have had numerous conversations about this topic because we both grapple with intimacy for different reasons, and I often ask her if she desires me in that way, to which she has traditionally responded positively, explaining only that she does not have a high sex drive. I share the same sentiment. I do not have a high libido, but enjoy the feeling of being desired. However, she has reassured me multiple times that she wanted to be intimate with me. Now, she claims that all this time she did not derive sexual pleasure from it and did not enjoy it as much as she believed she should. I find it strange that she is only sharing this now when everything feels off between us. I do not know if she is trying to hurt me and push me away or if she genuinely feels this way. I am uncertain how to proceed, so I left her message unread yesterday and did not text her today, understanding that she may need space and that my anxiety might not be helping. She mentioned that she is simply feeling avoidant and still loves me and believes I am everything she seeks in a partner, but I do not feel reassured. I feel that we are not truly addressing the issues at hand. I genuinely need to know what others think about this because I am feeling very down, and my thoughts are predominantly negative, leading me to not trust my own judgment. Story 2. Am I 23F, getting played by my BF 25M? Hello, this is my first time writing a Reddit post, so I apologize in advance. I, female, 23, and my boyfriend, male, 25, have been officially dating for a little over a month and have been exclusively seeing each other for 2 months. Since our relationship is still new, there are certain issues that I typically would not address so early on, as I do not want to come across as an overly jealous person right away. However, it is becoming overwhelming for my anxiety to remain silent. For context, I have significant trust issues stemming from my previous long-term partner, and I have been working through those challenges. I genuinely believe that I am in a place where I am ready for a new relationship. I began using dating apps and met my current boyfriend on Tinder, I am aware, but to be fair, I have met some great guys there. My boyfriend and I share an extraordinary amount of interests and immediately connected. We attended the same college, different years, but have mutual acquaintances. He dated someone from my sorority a couple of years ago. He shared that he ended the relationship because he realized they had different values, and she would not be the one for him. This raised some red flags for me since they were together for 2 years when he decided to end things. It seems like it shouldn't take that long to recognize those feelings, but I chose to push that concern to the back of my mind since it was in the past, and I have a history as well that I wouldn't want to be judged for. When he officially asked me to be his girlfriend, I joyfully said we could finally delete these unnecessary apps, and he agreed, beginning to delete the app but not his account. I asked, "Aren't you going to delete your account?" He then responded, "What's the difference if the app isn't on my phone?" I explained how that made me feel, and he proceeded to delete his actual accounts. I witnessed him delete 2 of them, Bumble and Hinge, but I turned away or was busy with my own accounts when he deleted Tinder, which made my anxious mind wonder if he might have kept it. Fast forward a couple of weeks into our relationship, and while scrolling through Instagram, I encountered a post suggested by the algorithm, which featured a girl in a bikini, and he had liked the photo. I felt upset upon seeing that, but I was uncertain if I should say something because our relationship was still so new. I eventually caved and expressed my feelings about him liking content like that. He essentially called me insecure and claimed he was just liking random things while scrolling, which felt untrue, and unfollowed her. I told him that it's a matter of respect when in a relationship, and I would appreciate it if he refrained from liking posts like that or following accounts of that nature in the future, to which he agreed. My boyfriend has been incredibly kind and understanding about many of my anxieties. He knows how to comfort and reassure me, and I feel secure and cared for when I am with him, which is why this situation is so challenging for me. The Instagram incident happened right before New Year's Eve. Now, it is 3 a.m. on February 1st as I write this. Earlier today, January 31st, I felt compelled to check his profile on Instagram after having a strange feeling. I admit I had already scoured his following enough times to recognize new accounts, which is not a healthy habit. He had followed a page named Friday Beers, which I am not particularly fond of, but it's whatever, as well as a girl. I clicked on her profile, and it appeared to be a new account that claimed her old one had been hacked. While that did not truly bother me, I don't mind him having female friends on Instagram as long as they are actual friends, so I chose not to overthink it. Fast forward to tonight when we hung out, and it was genuinely one of the sweetest nights we have ever shared. He was incredibly sweet while I discussed some friend drama and my weekend plans, and we cuddled, with him saying all the right things. While he is usually thoughtful, his behavior felt particularly elevated tonight. While I was driving home from his place, he texted me, "I miss you so much already," and "I truly appreciate you. Thank you for being so good to me." I thought to myself that this man really cares about me, and I feel the same way. I was so happy, and that night was wonderful. We continued texting for a while, but he eventually fell asleep. I should be sleeping since I have a train to catch in the morning, but anxiety has brought me here instead. I was just scrolling through Instagram again, and that uneasy feeling returned. I checked his following list, which had increased by one. This time, I recognized the profile, and it belongs to a girl. Her bio includes our state and two others, and she appears to be younger, around 2021, as she graduated high school in 2022. She grew up in a distant state and attends college in another far-off state, but I found no posts or connections to our area, which raises questions. How does he know her? Did she recently move here, or was her account inactive until now? All these thoughts are swirling in my mind, but the most concerning one is, am I being deceived? Does this man genuinely like me? Should I bring this up to him, and if so, how? Who is this person? Is her inclusion of our state in her bio a trace of her childhood, explaining their connection? If that is the case, why is he following her now? Did he lie about deleting the apps, or did he simply create new accounts? I feel apprehensive thinking he might be on apps, although I never noticed him swiping on his phone when he is next to me, and all his iMessage notifications seem innocent. He also cannot be cheating on me since we spend so much time together, and I always know where he is when we are not together. My mind is racing, and I cannot find any peace. Please offer your advice on how to proceed. Story 3. I 20F stopped talking to my ex-best friend, 21F of 5 years, after I found out she was abusing me while I was blackout drunk. Is it too late to press charges? Info below. Summary: a former friend repeatedly sexually assaulted me while I was intoxicated throughout our 5-year friendship. She would often call me daily to discuss her own problems, never allowing me to share my own, and she is overall a despicable person. I realize this sounds terrible. I am primarily sharing this because I am unsure about my next steps. For the purpose of this post, I will refer to my former friend as Deanna. This is a lengthy account, and I apologize for that. I specifically want to send her a stern text message because I have heard from a mutual friend that she has been speaking negatively about me, claiming Deanna now has issues with me because I ghosted her. Typically, I am not confrontational or unkind, but she has inflicted considerable pain and distress on me, and I feel compelled to express how awful she truly is. I became friends with Deanna in my sophomore year of high school through a mutual group that connected over reckless behaviors, such as consuming alcohol and smoking cannabis. I started drinking and using drugs with them at an inappropriately young age, 14, which fostered an unhealthy attachment to that circle as well as substances in general. To summarize, about a year later, Deanna and I distanced ourselves from most of the group and became tightly bonded. This evolved into weekly sleepovers, which then escalated to her attempting to steal alcohol from my parents' basement so we could get drunk. And eventually, it led to her stealing it while I was asleep and sexually assaulting me after forcing me to drink excessively. When I entered college, like many others, I had access to alcohol. This resulted in her repeatedly begging me each weekend to purchase several bottles. She was also underage, and she would reimburse me. Eventually, my frustration with the situation grew, and I began asking for an extra $20 for gas, given that she lived approximately 25 minutes away from me. She agreed, and this turned into a near-weekly routine of acquiring 3 5 bottles of flavored vodka, visiting her at home, getting inebriated, and staying overnight. You may wonder why I continued to associate with her for nearly 3 years after the initial incident. Honestly, I have no idea. I was young, and she would often call me in tears seeking advice, which made me feel like she needed my support. Her difficult childhood also contributed to my sympathy. I had known her for an extended period, and I suppose having a friend who enjoyed drinking made me feel adventurous and daring. As a side note, she would call me at least once a day. This may seem acceptable, but I was a busy college student while she was unemployed. I often felt overwhelmed, and she would guilt-trip me whenever I failed to return her calls. I would respond via text, but it became so exhausting that I eventually avoided both calls and texts, leading her to pressure me further. These calls were not brief either, often lasting a minimum of 30 minutes with her complaining about the same topics for years. I rarely had the opportunity to share my own struggles, and when I did, she criticized me for not improving my situation before returning to her own grievances. I reached my limit. I cannot recall how frequently the abuse occurred, though I remember several key events. The most recent incident over the summer was the tipping point. I was spending the night at her house, and naturally, she wanted to drink. I was willing to see her and catch up, which allowed me to zone out while she spoke. She insisted we take shots together, somewhat forcefully, leading to me becoming extremely intoxicated. I intended to sleep on the couch, but when I headed there, I was scrolling through my phone when Deanna emerged from her room, demanding that I come to bed with her. She effectively dragged me off the couch and into her room. I do not recall when I fell asleep, but I woke up in the middle of the night to her hand down my pants while I was barely conscious. I awoke in the morning to find her spooning me. I felt nauseous. I hurriedly packed my belongings, fabricating an excuse that I had to work that day, and left in a rush, choosing not to message her for the remainder of the day and pretending the incident had never occurred. She continued to call me daily, and I would sometimes answer. I distinctly remember the moment I ceased responding to her, which was in September. I was discussing a boy I was interested in, who she had previously met, and while I was sharing how it was going, she interrupted me, telling me I needed to take a break from dating and focus on myself. She insisted that he was not right for me and that I needed to stop communicating with him. At that moment, I snapped. I do not remember my exact words, but I said I was busy and had to go, then hung up. I have not communicated with her since that day. I have a friend who associates with Deanna's roommate. Let's refer to my friend as Susan. Deanna approached Susan once while she was at the house and spoke about me. In summary, Deanna mentioned that we were feuding and confessed. Yeah, some things happened between me and my name. I'm not saying most of it was non-consensual, but some things did occur. That statement shattered something within me. I felt an intense rage directed at her, and I worry that if she attempted to contact me again, I would say something cruel and vindictive. I am writing this to ask if I can still file charges. I am uncertain if it is even worth my time. She is already wretched enough as a person. I am tempted to send her a lengthy message detailing everything she has done wrong to me, but she has not reached out since I cut off communication. Thank you for reading. I would appreciate any guidance on what I should do. Story 4. How do I explain to my wife, 36M, that lack of intimacy and lying is ruining our relationship? Hello, everyone. My husband, 36 years old, and I, 40 years old, are experiencing significant issues with intimacy and trust. I feel as if everything is falling apart and I'm gradually losing my sanity. For context, we have been married for 12 years and together for 15. We have a 10-year-old daughter. We suffered a miscarriage 2 years ago, which has been difficult for both of us. I am a stay-at-home mom, and my husband works full-time in an office. Both of us are in therapy, but he is unwilling to attend couples counseling with me. Over the past year, we have encountered a total breakdown in communication, and our intimacy has become almost non-existent. I have been trying to handle this with the guidance of my therapist, and my husband and I have been discussing it regularly since around August. The issue is that after we talk, things improve for about a week before reverting to their previous state. When it comes to intimacy, he avoids planning dates, dodges cuddling, or dismisses me when I try to initiate closeness. Arrangements and dates are frequently rescinded, and he becomes irritated when I mention this. For example, we had a romantic week-long trip planned for last month, which I had been trying to organize for the past year. It felt like I was twisting his arm to get him to plan it with me. I told my therapist that I was sure he would withdraw his interest and cancel the trip at the last moment for one reason or another. Predictably, that is exactly what happened. My husband claims that he loves me and that he is making an effort, but his actions and body language suggest he does not even want to be near me. He keeps telling me that we are just busy and going through a rough patch, and at other times he insists that I am the one pulling away, not him. Whenever we discuss any issue in the past few months, he tends to have a complete meltdown. He screams, slams his fists, paces the room like a trapped animal, and cries. Meanwhile, I just stand there trying to keep pace. It invariably concludes with me repeatedly asking, "Babe, why are you yelling at me?" He has also been increasingly dishonest about minor matters. When I confront him, he argues and claims that I simply have a poor memory or that I am misremembering events. Even when I present evidence, such as when he claims to have sent one thing in a text, but I can prove he sent me something different, he pivots and asserts that I need to read between the lines or grasp the deeper meanings he implies, before continuing to say he texted me things he did not. On the rare occasions when there is no way to sidestep the issue, he breaks down into tears or shifts the conversation to another topic. I come away from these discussions feeling intensely anxious and often feel as though I am losing my mind. Additionally, he consistently makes remarks about withholding information from me to protect my feelings. We have discussed how I would never want that in our relationship, yet he insists that his actions are common sense or a courtesy to avoid conflict between us or to safeguard my feelings. When I tell him that this behavior makes it difficult for me to trust him, he becomes upset with me for my lack of trust, telling me that I am being insecure. Aside from the dishonesty I mentioned earlier, what else is he concealing to spare my feelings? I ask this in anticipation of the initial comments on this post. I have no idea. He only says he would never lie about anything significant. When I point out that if he can lie about minor things, what prevents him from lying about more significant issues, he tells me I am being unreasonable and paranoid. I have explained extensively that I do not believe it is acceptable to lie to protect someone's feelings. This is especially significant because my mother lied to me about her health to spare my feelings, and I only became aware of the severity of her condition when I visited the hospital after she had passed away. Yes, I have shared this with him. Even if he agrees at the time, he later brings it up as acceptable, or I catch him doing the same things again. For instance, a few days ago, he was discussing with my older brother the decision to withhold information from my ailing 70-year-old father concerning my niece, in order to prevent upsetting him. My brother, who was unaware of our previous discussions, immediately responded with, "Oh, absolutely not." He explained that he did not believe withholding anything from my father was acceptable. My brother and sister-in-law expressed the same concerns I have about this protective dishonesty. When we returned home, he was very angry with me for my brother's comments and for not supporting him. For the record, I didn't voice an opinion until we discussed it at home, but after he pressed me, I pointed out that his reaction mirrored my own regarding this behavior. He feels that we were all attacking him, although that was not the intention. He yelled at me for about an hour and now refuses to communicate with me except in brief sentences. I want to try to mend this relationship. I want us to unite as a team again and return to how things used to be. However, it seems he is entirely content with the current state of affairs as long as I accept it. He has cried during some of these discussions out of fear that I will leave him, so I do not believe he is entirely checked out. But I just cannot determine how to make him truly understand the impact of his behavior on our relationship. How can I tackle these issues in a productive manner? How can I help him realize that this dishonesty, no matter how well-intentioned or seemingly trivial, is a significant problem that critically needs his attention? How can I convey this to him in a way he will comprehend that this is damaging our relationship and undermining my trust in him? Story 5. My 44M wife, 42F, has been at least emotionally unfaithful now and in the past. Was or is she cheating? Dear Reddit, I, 44M, have been with my wife, 42F, for 20 years with 2 children aged 9 and 11, a house, stable medium-income jobs, a healthy relationship, a satisfying sex life, etc. 7 months ago, my wife began to act differently, particularly regarding physical touch. 5 months ago, she was caught flirting and being overly familiar with a mutual friend. I sat us down to discuss this change in behavior. She shared her perspective, claiming it was nothing and expressing regret for how it appeared. The conversation felt acceptable, and I tried to move past it. 2 months ago, I discovered an old notebook from when we were officially together, in which she recorded that one of her exes had stayed over and that she had met him over 10 times at parties, along with 3 other short-term exes during the course of more than a year. There were no notes regarding other friends, just the exes. I also opened another small notebook, which was a grave mistake. I was aware she had a diary, which is always off limits, but I did not expect to find it included entries from 3 months leading up to our meeting, where she detailed how deeply and vividly she made love to and fell in love with several men before me. I know two of these men, who were the typical womanizers boasting about having numerous partners. So, before reading the notebook, I asked her if she had met any other men during our time together, and she said no. However, I already knew she had met up with another ex, so that was a lie. After reading the notebook and uncovering this information, I confronted her, and she claimed she thought I was only asking if she had slept with someone. She believed she had been open about party friends and insisted it was nothing more than friendship. However, I had met the ex who spent the night, and she was aware of how much I disliked him, yet she still went out with him for over a year while concealing it. I inquired about other matters and discovered that she frequently omits information. For instance, I later learned that she had seen another ex several times 5 years into our relationship. Yes, this occurred 15 to 20 years ago and might not matter now, but it lingers. She believes our love has flourished over the years and that it holds significance. I concur, and I am genuinely attempting to adjust my mindset because we do have a wonderful family and life. Sometimes I find myself thinking I'm being foolish. It could be exactly as she says, that they were all just party friends and nothing happened. We enjoy a fantastic life, have wonderful children, and she is a great mother. Why am I even having these thoughts? But it is challenging to consider the other men she loved, all those temporary flings, and leave them as unresolved issues, and then meet them during our relationship. It frustrates me immensely that she fell into the trap with these womanizers and seemingly enjoyed it so much. I am consumed with questions about why she chose me and why she maintained these parallel relationships. 5 years in, the recent change in behavior, the flirting and closeness with my friend, and the lies, I find myself contemplating what makes her feel such passion for others. What could I have done differently? What am I missing? Has she ever thought about leaving me? Can I coexist with her now openly? Flirting with a friend, these old parallel relationships, declarations of love from men I disdain, etc. Are my thoughts justified? I would appreciate insights from women regarding their thoughts and actions. To clarify, I have never been controlling or obsessive. I have never worried about whom she spends time with, instructed her what to do, or dictated how she should conduct herself. On the contrary, I have encouraged her to pursue her career and supported her when she wanted children, a house, etc. Concerning her ex-relationships, I have no issues. We still interact with two of them within our larger friend group. However, the other day she asked if it was acceptable to join her newly single friend for a club event for individuals over 40. I interpreted it as a singles event. I despise myself for even considering denying her, and I know that's not an option. She can do as she pleases. I cannot express this to her, but deep down, I cannot genuinely trust her. I would loathe to be the kind of person who feels the need to check on her at the end of the evening or ask her to come home after the club. But the idea of allowing her to stay the night, at a hotel, etc., with her friend who is on the prowl feels unsettling. To add to this, her friend lived with her from ages 20 to 22 when we met, and also had a rather promiscuous history, to put it mildly. It seems all too easy for her to bring home any man she desires, something I hadn't considered before. But given everything I have learned, it is just so difficult to shake the belief that it could happen again effortlessly. Now, let's say we consider this from a woman's perspective. Would the following be acceptable? The man has a history of dubious one-night stands every weekend for months before you meet, and continues to see some of these women 1 to 5 years into your relationship, being fully aware that you disapprove and hiding it from you. At least one of these women has slept over at his place. Later in your relationship, your man openly flirts and gets closely acquainted with a friend he has had significant single-time encounters with, to the extent that mutual friends also cut off their time with him. Summary: my wife was flirting, and I read her old notebook. I discovered past relationships and feelings for others. Despite having a great family and relationship, I now feel miserable and question why she chose to be with me. Story 6. My girlfriend is angry because I don't deal with it appropriately when something bothers her, and she brings it up. The following situation: I asked my girlfriend of 6 years if everything was all right, and I did it again not too long ago. The reason for this is that she suddenly appeared calmer and somewhat tense to me. I often struggle with interpreting situations like this and wanted to clarify. The second time, she answered a bit harshly that everything was fine and explained to me that it annoys and stresses her when I ask questions like that. She was simply not particularly happy or excited at that moment. She was just normal and did not see why I would even think that something was wrong. Her explanation was longer. The essence was she wants to be able to be like this without me pestering her with this question because it puts her under pressure and causes her stress. This question makes her feel like she is not permitted to express herself this way and that she always has to be extremely happy. I then apologized and promised that I would refrain from asking it so frequently or so soon one after the other. The next part begins here. She did not appreciate this response very much. She felt I neglected to express that I truly understood her concern. Simply suggesting a solution appears to her as if I just want to resolve the issue quickly and that it seems like I just want her to be quiet. She would have preferred me to say clearly, "I understand you the problem." This was frustrating for me. After all, I cannot propose a solution if I have not comprehended anything, and merely saying, "I understand you," is not a guarantee theoretically. I could be dishonest. If she assumes I have bad intentions when I do not say anything implying that it seems I just want her to be quiet, then why not here? I sought to grasp this and asked what the distinction was, offering her if it was essential to her that I truly understood that I would be willing to restate what she explained in my own words. It would not be a considerable task and would genuinely ensure that I comprehended. I thought this was a solid idea. That idea did not go well either. On one hand, she has never thought this way and finds it troubling that I suggested I could be dishonest. In doing so, I destroyed the reassurance that those words previously provided her, and now she is unable to trust me if I declare, "I understand you," during a conversation. She also does not comprehend why I am even asking such questions. She does not always want to justify herself. She simply wants people to accept things as they are, even if they do not understand them. I should have just acknowledged the fact that this helps her. For me, this represents another dilemma because it is incredibly important to her that I grasp her issue, but I should just embrace her solutions. I do not need to understand them. I indicated that the two are interconnected. Either it is important to her that I understand her and I must inquire, or it is not so important, and then it suffices if I just accept it, but in that case, there is no requirement for an "I understand you" from me. All I want is to comprehend her. What is her problem, and what would assist her, and why would that help her? Is my inquiry, and I wish to understand to facilitate improvement. I told her this would also aid me in comprehending better in other situations and acting in her interest, and that she cannot switch as if on command. Sometimes I should understand, and sometimes I should just accept it. This is something that does not work for me. Both the problem and the resolution must be understood for me to grasp the full extent of her thoughts on the matter. Part of the discussion was also that she does not genuinely want a solution from me either. She only seeks understanding and for me to provide her with emotional space. If I merely throw a solution at her, it does not make her any less emotional. Instead, I need to give her more emotional space, rather than approaching the matter in a solution-focused manner. When I asked how I would know when I could say more than, "I understand you," or "I can relate to that," etc., I did not really receive an answer, but by that point, the conversation was already heated. I suppose that is why I did not receive an answer to that question. From this point, the situation escalated further. She essentially sent me home for the day and seeks peace and quiet for an indefinite period, because such discussions with me are deemed pointless. The question is, am I somehow insensitive and not adaptable enough? Am I missing something that I fail to grasp regarding when to understand something and when to simply accept it? Interpersonal relationships often pose difficulties for me because I can be overly straightforward in my quest for a solution and neglect the emotional nuances. I need some feedback here. I am uncertain about what I am doing incorrectly. I seem to be making a mistake, but I do not know what it is. This situation feels like a minefield to me because every attempt to take action simply results in more frustration, even though I genuinely mean well. Summary: my girlfriend wants me to understand her issues and accept her solutions, even if I do not grasp them. This perplexes me, and I cannot ascertain what I am doing wrong. Because I believe I am genuinely acting in her best interests, I attempt to understand her and identify solutions that ease the situation for her. Yet I seem to create further complications by doing so.